All right, and welcome back to episode 3. Today we're going to do the first battle of Bull Run. The only purchases I made for this one were basically just filling out the army for this battle. Grabbed 2 majors to put into my artillery there, so I could use the officers I've been training there for the new divisions. Picked up a lot of 42s, so that, no, found a typo there. Picked up some more 42s to fill up that army, picked up the rest of the good artillery, and pretty much then just, spent the rest of the money filling out the army. So, fortunately, none of these artillery are by themselves big enough to form new arty unit. But that's all right. We filled out the army based on our army organization. I've taken the units all the way up to 1500. This is the first time I've been able to actually do that, but we're just doing so good on army losses this time around that we're in really good shape. So, if you notice, there's no ammo this time around. I find that the ammo that the campaign gives you for free is more than enough. As you can see there, I was able to fill out the rest of the second cav from their casualties from last time. So I'm really happy with how this battle turned out. I think this is one of those battles where they provide you with a lot of allied units, and we're really going to take advantage of those units. So this isn't a new tactic. This is pretty typical for most other people I see play this battle. We're not going to try to cross that bridge down to the south. We're just going to walk around here to sort of the middle part of the map and have these guys meet up with our main forces. This is a really long and just kind of like boring section, so I've kind of sped it up here. We're just going to kind of speed through this. And I think, this battle, I think I have a few small innovations on this one. Particularly, we're going to see around the time that Stonewall Jackson arrives. I think we have a new strategy, a new way of kind of going about this battle that I just find a lot more fun. This is actually one of those battles you can lose, as that second flag down there, it's going to be a little bit different in just a second. It's actually pretty tough to take, and if you don't take it in the last phase, in the 40-minute time limit, the battle turns into a draw. So it's important that you take that and you hold that flag. So we're going to kind of try a new strategy to cross that river down there. That river is usually the really tough part. Usually by the time all your troops are there, they're pretty exhausted. You then have to walk through the water, which leaves your troops really vulnerable. So we're going to try a strategy where we kind of cross all together in the southernmost point of that river and sort of use that to leverage ourselves and sort of push the initial forces into the northern bank of that river, and then have some other forces turn actually and address the reinforcements coming and sort of use some natural wood cover there. As I was saying, this is going to be a mission where we're going to rely on our ally forces a lot. We're going to have our ally forces fighting, not intentionally getting them killed, but they're going to be the ones taking a lot of the shots, and our troops are going to be the ones on the flanks kind of putting in the damage. We're going to have a lot of success on this one with that. This is one of the more lopsided ones we've had, one of the more lopsided bull runs I've had so far. So the enemy is immediately charging. It kind of catch me off guard here. I wasn't quite ready yet. So I have to kind of tell my troops to sprint a little bit to get them in position. But in the end, that guy actually backs up with his cavalry. So crisis averted. No extra, surprise hits on our artillery, which wasn't quite set up yet. And this is great. Normally he likes to charge into those woods there, but he saw our cavalry and immediately started charging after our cavalry. And that's really a gift. Anytime we can get him to charge after the cavalry is great, because, we can just have the cavalry run in the direction that we want that unit to kind of go, which will get him out of the way. That's not necessarily part of my normal strategy. I'm not always able to pull that off, but whenever you can, it's really nice. So unfortunately, it gives up on the charge. I probably shouldn't have ran into cover quite so quickly, but it turns out okay, as now we're going to be able to get really good flanking shots in on this guy with our sniper unit there. So I turned to address that unit that's kind of coming off the flank and try to get these troops into good cover. Our artillery at this point is still really basic. We just have those 10 ord, which we have labeled there as the 3-inch, just so we don't get confused with any 10-pound Parrott units. And then we're going to have these troops kind of walk up on this flank. And this is the real advantage of having these troops, as opposed to kind of throwing them away needlessly at that bridge in the south location. We can kind of use these two wood lines here to the right of the camera angle as sort of anchor points for this force. So I'm going to use my cavalry down here in the south to kind of harass his artillery a little bit. Even if they're not necessarily putting out great damage, they're forcing the artillery unit to swivel around. He's not doing, therefore he's not firing on my troops, which is going to be really helpful in reducing casualties. So he's got a pretty good position up on this hill. And the main danger is that artillery unit does a lot of damage if our infantry get too close. So I'm kind of trying to maneuver my way into a position where I can do some damage to that artillery unit and maybe get him to retreat as opposed to doing damage to our troops. So that unit there starts retreating because we've been putting flanking shots in with our sniper unit, and that's one of the really big benefits of having a sniper unit like that. They do a lot of damage to the enemy's morale, even if they don't always do a huge amount of kills, which they also do that, but and that can be really beneficial in kind of getting an enemy to move away and abandon their strong positions, especially in a mission like this where you really need to keep up a good tempo. Getting the units to rout as quickly as possible is really helpful in achieving your goals. So this guy's routing, and he's routing in a really beneficial direction, so I'm going to use my cavalry and my skirmisher unit there just to hopefully keep him routed. And then we're going to try to move up this army here. I'm trying to use 1st Division here, Brigade D, to kind of get some flanking shots in on him. Hopefully he starts retreating, and then I'm going to have that 1st Ohio unit there kind of sneak up behind him. And something I'm trying to pull here is this is our allied cav, which are technically melee cav, but they still have a short amount of range, and I'm going to try to use that to kind of get some flanking shots in. This is a little bit risky here. I know there's some troops that like to hang out in that wood line there by that river crossing, but now that I have friendly troops across, I think I can get these guys across and get them joining with my main force, so I'll go ahead and do that. That's going to be really helpful to get those troops fighting as soon as possible. Because we're going to kind of use these ally units to kind of hold our right flank, and we don't actually need to advance with these guys. We just kind of need them to hold that bottleneck that you're kind of seeing where the melee cav scout unit is over there to the right. If we can kind of hold him there and prevent him from escaping larger onto the map, kind of pin this initial set of forces into the water line there just to the right. And this is great. His line is finally falling back, and so now we can hit this artillery unit and hopefully hit him before he can shoot at us with any canister shot. So far, everything's going pretty well. This is kind of how this battle works. You're just going to have to take your time. Your troops are definitely going to be exhausted. So at some point, it might make sense to just have them run. Exhausted troops don't fight quite as well, especially in melee. And here we go. I have that skirmisher unit. I was kind of trying to find them with this cavalry unit, and found them and accidentally ran right into them. So good thing that's an allied unit. We're not going to lose too much sleep over that, but a little bit of a bummer, but we're able to dislodge that skirmisher unit, which is going to allow our forces there across the river to join as the skirmisher unit's now engaged, and so not ideal, but not the end of the world either. Have them get across this river. Going to go ahead and tell them to run, which is okay because these guys aren't actually going to move too far. Once they cross that river, they're going to kind of hold that position around those woods, just in the center of the screen there to the right. And so you see where that small set of buildings is. It's kind of got two stone crossings. If you ever notice on these like shallows that you can cross, there's usually sort of a stone crossing, and the units travel just a little bit faster across those points. So there's a crossing kind of there in the middle south, and we're going to use that crossing to kind of ferry our troops across. So I meant to just get these guys up here to put some damage on these skirmishers, but they accidentally get engaged again. This is sort of my story of my life when dealing with melee cav. It's not necessarily my favorite units. I could definitely do better, and I don't fault anyone who is able to use them to more effect than I do, but that's alright. They retreat in a really annoying way, though. I remember seeing this in the replay, and I was pretty frustrated by it. They would end up retreating essentially into the water and right into the enemy, so that's kind of frustrating. But again, these are ally units, so we're not too upset. And so you see the sort of last set of 3 units that's kind of up there by the rail crossing. Those are going to be sort of our main troops that are going to confront Stonewall Jackson's reinforcements. So they're going to be pretty tired when they get there, but luckily we're able to just have them walk across the map. They don't have to do a lot of fighting. Our main troops are going to do that. So when they get there, they're going to be tired, but they're going to be in place hopefully in time. And it is a pretty tight window. We get pretty close to being effectively surrounded, so a lot of my strategies are pretty flexible. I don't think they take a lot of what's the right word here, finesse to pull off, but this one's a little bit different. This was a pretty near-run thing, but I think this strategy is pretty fun, so let me know if you think it worked out. So yeah, we're kind of headed to that set of buildings there in the south. Obviously we're going to keep a line because we're just trying to push him into the river, but it's really good if we can make sure we pick up this artillery here, and yep, there goes another one. So yeah, I hope we can remove his artillery. That's going to be really beneficial. I was probably a little bit too aggressive here on my left. This side has some kind of weird vision thing, so I can't always see where his troops are. But all things considered, those are ally units, so if we're a little bit too aggressive and take a little extra damage over there, that's not quite the end of the world. So we're just kind of trying to pin him in position here, not trying to push him too hard, except for on the left side, or our Union right side of the river. Here he comes with his cav, and that's always nice. It's nice when he's cooperative towards his cav. See, here's what I'm saying. I get a little bit too aggressive. My units are caught out in the open. They're not in good cover. But sort of recognizing that now, it's sort of trying to reform a line. And I think this is kind of a good strategy, the way I have this artillery here in the center, a little bit pulled back, and then sort of infantry units in the center sort of anchoring their position. And the enemy is normally going to kind of focus on your infantry, and so that means that we can kind of have our artillery, these are kind of like 6-pounder guns, which are only really effective at close range. So it's going to allow us to get really close without having them take too much damage. But, these are ultimately units that we don't care too much about, so if they take some hits, it's alright. It's kind of worth the risk. So I'm going to have my sort of auxiliary forces here, sort of like in a pre-cross condition that's going to help us kind of support these troops as they are crossing the river. And I actually almost made a disaster here. I have my A brigade go over first, and they're almost immediately charged down, and I have to tell them to fall back over a river, which is really never ideal, but luckily there's other units there that are able to support, and so we're able to get the enemy to rout before they get a good volley in on us. So pretty close one there, but I think it ultimately works out. And as you can see, the condition on all of our units is pretty low, so yeah, this is one of those battles, you just have to, it's why the endurance perk is just so useful, because this is the really limiting factor, especially like early troops, is they just get tired so quickly, and especially on missions like this where you kind of are forced by the timer to be aggressive. So having to advance just a little bit, as the enemy seems to be really willing to sit in the water here, and that's really a gift. The enemy takes a lot of extra damage when their troops are in the water, and so we're going to try to take advantage of that. So we're going to start the cross here, and this is a pretty close little engagement here. It almost goes really poorly, but it ends up turning out alright. And I guess I didn't. I remembered this wrong. So our scouts are only just now taking some hits. I forgot that I didn't have them all the way up to 350 for this battle, so that makes a little bit more sense. So actually, we've done a pretty good job of preserving our scouts. They're just taking superficial damage there with some artillery hits. And look, he's advancing here on my right. That's a little bit dangerous. I don't quite catch that, and I think this unit here on cards go around. Again, not necessarily ideal, but it's not too bad as we're gonna. I'm just using these forces here to kind of hold and not let it advance too far. So here we go. This is the moment of peril. We got a unit that's in the water, and the enemy is rushing us down. And my scouts are right there, my snipers rather. So they're also in danger. It's really not a great situation. My artillery isn't in place yet, so they can't support. And this was almost really bad. In fact, they let off this volley, and they actually get into a little bit of a melee. But luckily, as soon as they get to melee, that second unit's there to put in some extra fire, and so I'm going to have them actually just fully pull back. This unit's tired. They're not going to do well in melee, so I just need to get them out of that situation. But now the enemy's kind of stuck there in the water, and so let's get some extra shots in on him. So I've been able to sneak this cavalry unit sort of around the back, and this is going to be really helpful. The artillery, as I've said probably a couple times now, likes to track your, or rather the closest unit. And so if artillery is sort of in the back, his artillery is going to spend a lot of extra time, turning all the way around to try to, get shots in on our cavalry. So even if our cavalry isn't doing a ton of damage right now, they are still doing a lot of productive work by harassing the enemy cavalry or rather, not the enemy cavalry, harassing the enemy artillery, and that's going to make our advance here just a little bit easier. So as you can see, we're just kind of defending the water line and advancing across the southernmost point. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of form a line in this wheat field that we're kind of looking at right here. Here you can see harassing the artillery. We're going to kind of form a line in this wheat field, and we're kind of going to push them counterclockwise into that northern river. I think it's a pretty successful maneuver. Again, we end up cutting it pretty close, but I think it works out, especially when we look at the post-game screen rather. Again, all of our troops are pretty tired. We're gonna put all of our allied units that sort of join the battle last. This will, these units that I have selected right there. As you can see, they actually have like 30% condition left, so these guys are actually going to be able to do a little bit of running to kind of help cement this attack. So my unit there is in a little bit of cover. Could maybe be, could maybe put them in a slightly better position, but it's all right for now. And here we go. We're just like forming this line in this wheat field here. Again, I'm just going to have my cavalry come back up, harass the artillery again, make him turn all the way around. And I notice that he's not really protecting this field, so I actually go ahead and advance with one extra unit, which is actually going to really help us flank the enemy. And sure enough, his artillery's kind of here, unsupported. They are turning all over the place. They're not sure which direction to face. And the danger here is he does have some cavalry there in the north that could really ruin our day, as we don't really want to trade one-to-one with his cavalry per se, or his cavalry will attack ours, but luckily he doesn't do that. So there is some skirmisher unit there that I don't see totally late. Luckily, the skirmisher unit is routing because of our sniper units there to support. So that's sort of a weapon system we're going to use quite a bit. I think kind of ironically, because they both kind of do similar things, I think cavalry and skirmishers, they support each other really well. And so I'm going to try to, in a lot of these missions, kind of send that pair to work in tandem a lot. When I have the available forces to do. Skirmishers and cavalry, they both kind of cover each other's weaknesses. Vision's really important to skirmisher units, and cavalry has some of the best vision in the game. Cavalry can kind of move forward and poke around the enemy's defenses, but maybe when the enemy starts chasing them, you have a concealed group of, those sniper units kind of there, ready to force back any units who get too aggressive chasing after the snipers, or rather the cavalry. So as a weapon system, we're going to try to use them in tandem, and I think we're going to see a lot of success with that. So it got a little bit unfortunate here. This right side, I was kind of focusing here on the left, because we're in the middle of this maneuver, and he charged my flank here on the Union left, but it's actually going to be okay. Again, these are allied units, so if you take a little bit of extra loss there, it's a bummer, but it's not the end of the world. And we're just trying to keep him in place up there again. And he's not going to commit too many forces to that attack, so it's actually going to be okay and be able to turn back his side. And this is kind of the nice benefit of this maneuver, is that he tends to keep a lot of his artillery up here. And so by maneuvering like we do, we sort of end up ambushing all of his artillery out. This unit, unfortunately, accidentally gets into melee, which is kind of annoying, but you can kind of see some of the problems with melee here is that it really becomes hard to control these units once they get engaged in melee. They tend to turn all about and show their flanks to the enemy, and luckily we're able to extract that guy, and then he's able to get a shot off, so it's not all bad. But ideally we're going to try to avoid that, and luckily, again, that's an ally unit. And so this is the tricky part. As you can see, we're moving in on this flag. We're getting pretty close. You don't have to actually cap the flag by this stage, but that timer is really a countdown timer to Stonewall Jackson's reinforcements joining the battle. So it's only sort of a matter of time after that timer goes down that we're going to have troops actually advancing on our, out the southern tip of that map. So we need to push these forces that are up here sort of out of their defensive positions, and then actually take those defensive positions and use them against the reinforcements. And this is what I was kind of describing as sort of the innovation that I found. I think this is a really fun way to play this battle. It's nice and aggressive, which I like, but it also doesn't have, it doesn't leave us too vulnerable. It's consistent. We're not relying on the ally, or rather the enemy, making some poor maneuver here. And it also does a really good job of kind of like naturally putting our allied units sort of at the center of the attacks, both the aggressive push off the hill and the sort of the counterattack that happens to the south. And so that means that they're going to take the majority of the damage, and our units, I can see this A battalion and this B battalion sort of naturally taking the flanks. Now, there's a group of skirmishers that you can't really see that are actually harassing my sniper unit there, so I'm actually going to catch them right here. I'm going to have my cavalry come in, hit them from the side, have the units here, and hopefully kind of take care of him. As you can see, this is the rather tenuous part of the battle, but it's not quite as bad as it looks. We are actually pushing this guy off this hill, and he's not going to necessarily run, so all we're going to do is sort of use these sets of woods as sort of our defensive point against his reinforcements, and then we're going to have some additional units continue pushing these troops farther north. And if we can keep these guys divided, I think it's really going to help us sort of divide and conquer. We can use this set of 6 infantry and maybe these 2 artillery units to kind of like hold his reinforcements while the rest of our troops kind of eliminate this pocket, and then we can move everyone into position and do the same thing to the south. Kind of a mini defeat in detail, if you will. So we kind of have some time. He tends to advance a little bit faster on that farmhouse than he does in that southern set of woods. So I'm sort of using my units until the last minute and having them about face to sort of face the enemy. And as you can see, he's luckily not being too aggressive here. These guys are, again, just kind of holding in place. And hopefully I can get one more volley on this guy's artillery and I can knock him out. Yep, there it goes. Cool. Now the only real threat there in the center is that cavalry unit, which is coming towards us, but we can sort of like take one shot at him and then turn around and face the enemy. Sure enough, bang, there we go. And that guy packing. And here we go. So this is actually perfect timing. We've now sort of done away with these enemy troops. We're dealing with the skirmisher units, and we're going to have 2 units here on these woods where I have my 6-pounder, and then we're going to have 3 units sort of taking up the other side. And I notice here that he's being a little bit slow on this left, so I'm going to have my troops go ahead and turn and just try to fire one more volley into these guys. It is getting a little bit close. He is kind of moving in on the backside, but luckily he seems to be kind of taking his time, and that's giving us time to sort of give these troops here in the second wood line here kind of one last push. And if we can push these guys out, then we kind of have them on the river, and we can it'll be a lot easier to deal with them. And yeah, he's unfortunately firing on my A brigade there, which is too bad. And this was really frustrating. I should have just told these guys to run. I swear I thought I had, but instead they kind of walk and they sort of put themselves into give their entire flank to the enemy. Luckily they are in cover when they do it, so they take damage, but they don't take enough damage to start retreating. But yeah, just unnecessarily kind of a foolish unforced error there. I'll have to be more careful with that next time. But you can see we're just trying to do the fallback technique. He doesn't care, he's just going to keep charging in. And so unfortunately he's going to get this unit into melee, but luckily even though our units are exhausted, so they're not going to do a whole lot of damage, we can fire into his flanks here now that he's sort of pinned down. We can use his ally artillery unit and hopefully get this guy to rout before our unit routs. And we're still dealing with this. Oh, okay, there goes that skirmish unit. That's nice. Okay. So his cavalry sort of harassing us here. Luckily, it's been hit a couple times, so he's not going to do too much damage. Yeah, luck. Okay, great. That's great. His unit retreats, which is what we wanted. And it's just like having that one unit fall back. That's kind of funny. I didn't notice that in the battle. But, yeah, this is the initial sort of danger is now gone, which is great. Initial danger of like the initial onslaught of that infantry unit, and now I can actually, you know, push these guys into the river like we were planning on doing. I let my ammo get a little bit low, which is unfortunate, but it's not going to be too much of a problem as we're able to get our ammo up here, or rather our supply wagon up here in time, so that we don't have any volleys without ammo, which is going to, you know, really lower our damage output. And here you see he's just charging it again, and it's like, oh gosh, you know, this unit just got done. Luckily, this time he stops. It's really lucky. And then, oh, what do you know? Another unit's charging in. So, you know, this is kind of how this battle works. Luckily, though, it looks like he is focusing. You know, he's really beelining it towards the flag there, which, you know, normally that'd be a problem, as it means this unit kind of is getting overrun. It's good for us, as it means that ultimately, you know, we're able to kind of get a ton of damage on his flanks, as he's not even, you know, engaged with our units there on the outside. So it means he's focusing in on our allied troops and not doing damage to our regular army, which is really ideal. I mean, that's, you know, that's exactly what we want, where he's cooperating perfectly there. And so that flag is counting down, and if that timer gets to 0, you can see there on the top right, it would mean that the battle is a draw. But luckily, you know, we've got kind of a kill zone going on here. We've got 2 artillery pieces there. We've got 3 infantry units rather. We've got flanking fire, and we've even got our skirmishers out here on the extreme, I guess, left of our position, or rather, extreme right of our position. Sorry, it's kind of like split in half here. And that's going to help us as well. And so sometimes what I'm kind of worried about here is sometimes he retreats across this bridge to the north, and that can be kind of frustrating. You can once he retreats behind that bridge, he'll try to march back usually, but sometimes he just kind of stays in that eastern part of the battle, and that can be kind of annoying to deal with. It's actually not the end of the world, as this is one of those battles where they actually give you a ton of time at the end of the battle. So if some of his troops kind of retreat in the wrong direction, it's not too critical. You should be able to still pick up kills on all of his troops. But in the interest of time, and sort of the interest of keeping this battle well under control, I just want to try to control that bridge and try to get vision even on his artillery pieces. I'm pretty sure this artillery piece here is his last artillery piece. And, overall in this campaign, if we can eliminate his artillery, we're going to try to do that, as that's going to be really helpful. I missed this. While I'm busy fiddling with this cat over here, I actually had one of his units rush into melee with one of my units, and then when I turned back from that, I have a whole bunch of infantry. He was going to come charging into my cab. Luckily, I mean, this is something that normally happens to me, but luckily, his own general actually runs in front of his unit, which prevents him from firing, and so he's only able to fire pretty late, and it's going to limit the damage of that volley. Luckily, that could have been really bad. But luckily, we're successful in getting our cavalry across that bridge, which is going to help us. And again, he almost catches my skirmisher units here, but luckily he's morale shocked, so he doesn't do a whole lot of damage. So I'm able to pull them back. There's a lot of close calls in this one, but ultimately, now we're sort of in control of this battle. We've got him funneled into that center. We've got his initial units pushed out of this position. They're now going to have to cross the river to get to us. They're attacking this, our sort of like northern position, but we're not too worried about it. Their units have really been degraded well here. And my sniper unit's pretty tired, so he's going to kind of take his time trying to get him to put some shot-ins kind of across the river using that tree line for cover. There you can see I almost charged my cavalry into, yet again, that infantry that luckily I pull him back. Yeah, just kind of making sure he's not trying to retreat across that bridge. So, yeah, I think this has been really successful so far. I'm going to try to get his general here. That's going to keep him from, maybe make it a little bit easier to manage the enemy morale. These low-tier weapons, they're not what we're going to have later. There goes his general. So, was actually trying to retreat the supply wagon out because it ran empty, and he almost ends up running right into the enemy, and so that would have been kind of embarrassing. But so here he goes again. He's charging in, but luckily his units have been hit a few times and tired, and we're able to do the fallback trick. And look, again, I'm trying to throw away my cavalry. My worst trait, always just way too reckless with that cavalry. Luckily, we're able to get them to fall back. I am successful in. I'm going to have that depleted scout melee cav unit go north, and I'm going to have him actually try to snag his supply wagons, and we're going to end up using those, as we're going to get pretty close to running out of ammo here. This is kind of what I mean by relying on the enemy, and in these early games, relying on their ammo instead of spending money to try to bring your own. Technically, you get more money in the long run if you just bring your own supply and capture his and keep it. But in these early missions, you're going to find bringing more troops, bringing more, and bringing troops with maybe slightly better guns. No one has great guns yet, but just getting more troops on the battlefield in these early battles is going to be more, I think, beneficial to us in the long run. So this unit gets into combat, and that turns the flank of my unit up here. But again, we're just trying to keep these guys occupied. It's actually okay if we're not trading perfect up here in the north, because these are our ally units. So we're not trying to preserve them quite as well. And as you can see, we're sort of actually able to push them a little bit. I probably get a little too aggressive here, and this is that classic problem of like, hey, I feel like I'm winning, time to go on the offensive, and then the enemy stops routing and they turn around, and now they're in a good defensive position, and my troops are out in the open, and my 3-inch there is sort of out of position, not going to be able to do a lot of damage. So sort of have to have them fall back again. This is legendary. The enemy is going to be super aggressive, and so we can kind of rely on that to find good position and just have the enemy come find us, and have the enemy come rush into our well-prepared defensive positions, and sort of degrade him that way before we necessarily push him off the map. Yeah, I think that's. And as you can see, sort of starting to run a little bit low on ammo here, or skirmisher unit and whatnot. But Luckily, you know, I've captured the 2 supply wagons. I'm just trying to get them back now so they can start supplying the army. And I sort of have my allied troops pull up here so that they can attack this artillery unit and support my C and D brigade as they actually cross the bridge. And again, we're just trying to liquidate this pocket so that we can then focus on all these troops down here in the south. And accidentally get to melee here. Bit of a mistake, but luckily won't get punished for it too bad. And I've just about defeated that cavalry unit. If we can finish him off, that would be really ideal. So our guys are retreating there, but that's alright. We were able to get his artillery unit offline, and now he's going to charge one of my really small units. We're going to be able to get some flanking fire in on him. So it's all going pretty well up here, and we have it pretty well bottled up in the south. Just kind of getting my artillery unit there in position, and just having dispatching my cavalry to kind of have them deal with this last unit. Yeah, a little bit of danger here. He starts really advancing on my right, but luckily he thinks better of it, and I do have that sniper unit there to sort of hit him if he decides to advance too hard. Just trying to use his artillery to push him out of this defensive position. May have been smarter to just sit back a little bit. As you can see, now this unit here is retreating. This unit's taking a bunch of damage, so is this guy. You know, probably would have been better to sit back just a little bit longer, defend this location just a little bit longer before being so aggressive. But you know, that's actually, you're not going to get punished too bad, as again, these are allied units that are taking most of the damage. So it's not the end of the world. But I think if we wanted to be just a little bit cleaner, we could probably hesitate just a little bit longer and not be quite so aggressive there in the south once we push them off the initial line. But again, this is just a big mass of sort of unsupported infantry. So ultimately, once we're able to get to all of these units retreating, they're really in trouble. There's no artillery to support them. There's no cavalry to outflank my troops. You know, it's just a massive infantry that we're going to be able to bottle up. Finally eliminate his cavalry, thank gosh. Now I'm just going to have them come over here just in case he decides to retreat across this bridge, but he's actually going to go ahead and retreat north, which is fine. I'm just going to have some of the smaller units kind of chase him down and finish him off. And yep, there's that unit's now flashing white. And luckily it's our ally unit, so not the end of the world, but he's flashing white, so he's not going to cooperate. So he's going to continue to stand there kind of in the open, and I'm going to finally be able to get this D brigade back into the battle and supporting sort of initial this. You know, you can kind of see now the merit of this strategy. We've completely eliminated, with the exception of that one brigade, his initial troops. And now we just need to sort of bottle up these reinforcements and get this battle in the bag. Now he's going to charge my units here, and luckily again, I have some artillery there, I have my skirmishers there, and we're able to get him to stop, and he actually, instead of firing a volley, decides to just reposition, so that was really fortuitous. We probably would have had damage done to our artillery unit there, as he's kind of just from passive damage, but luckily he turns white and he retreats, so that was pretty lucky. As you can see, we're going to have our A brigade kind of advance upon his flank up here. Again, this sort of just bottling these guys up. You know, it takes some time, but just bottling them up. And he's going to go ahead and charge. We're going to have him fall back, and we're in decent cover in the field. Fields aren't necessarily a perfect defensive position, as you do a lot of less. You do reduce damage in them as well, but you know, they're better than open fields, so we're going to kind of rely on it. And I'm going to have this unit sort of run to now hit him in the flanks. And you can kind of see what I was talking about earlier, where I was talking about sort of having your units in right angles. Is, you know, if he turns his flank to address your left, now he's turning his flank to your center, and vice versa. And he's gonna try to he's kind of laser focused in there on the flag, and so when given the choice of 2 units, he's gonna actually turn the flank to my regular troops, which is really ideal, as our regular troops are the ones we want getting the kills, and our ally units are the ones we want taking the sort of taking the blows of the enemy. So I'm having this extra allied artillery just move up to help contain this, these enemy reinforcements. And as you can see, they're retreating, they're falling back. Their general's still there, but they've all taken a ton of damage already, and so we're just going to keep pushing until we push them into the map, and then we're going to go ahead and finish these guys off as well. Yeah, just having these guys kind of run down this last guy. Sometimes it's tempting to focus on, those little mop-up operations in the north, but the only danger left in this battle is taking damage here, so we're pretty content to just kind of give an order in the north and sort of put our efforts and our brain power in here in the south. And yeah, just kind of making sure the center of our army is taking a majority of the blows, while our units on the flanks are, our actual army is staying out of too much danger. We don't want them sort of taking the main part of our enemy's charges and volleys and whatnot. Yeah, pretty soon this battle's going to turn pretty one-sided here pretty shortly, as we've now pushed him off even his backup sort of defensive position. He's about to be stuck in the river, and we're going to just take our time sort of taking him out. As you can see, again, this is kind of what I was talking about. I probably could have microed these forces up here a little bit better, but it's okay. Just trying to hunt down that last unit. Tell this unit to fall back, but he falls back a little bit too much, but that's alright. We're going to kind of leverage this position to try to box him in, try to prevent him from retreating all the way to the corner of the map. We kind of want him to retreat back into the river here, so that's going to make it a lot easier to keep him routing, and it's going to make our troops do damage a lot faster as well. So remember, these troops are pretty tired. I think all these guys have marched across the map. They've been fighting a lot. They've been pretty much constant combat for the last however long in game time. So our units aren't going to be moving super fast at this point, but if we can just keep them sort of bottled inside this bucket that we're forming, that'll help. It'll keep us from having to move too far to stay in combat. So just moving up the artillery to support the infantry. Really important to do that. It's really easy to kind of forget about your artillery and sort of leave them, too far behind your infantry so they can't even do too much effective damage. Still, not focusing on this unit, which is allowing him to get back in it, but just trying to focus my efforts here on the south. Luckily, he's only doing damage to our ally unit there, so not actually costing us too much. Here we go. Now I'm getting my artillery online, and I'm kind of using this A brigade to attack his flank, undermine his position, continue pushing him back into the water. And as you can see, the timers come down now, and we can still keep fighting this battle. And you actually have a ton of time. I don't know if I've actually written down how long I've given on this battle, but once you sort of secure that flag, that's kind of just north of where all my artillery is there. There's actually not a huge rush on this battle. It's important to remember that you can really limit your casualties by not being too aggressive here. And we're just trying to keep him from escaping to the southeast here, using my cavalry to discourage him from crossing the river here. It's a little bit hairy, as I don't want him firing back, obviously. But if we can kind of keep him contained, that would be ideal. There we go. We finally delete that. We finally finish off the units. I'm just going to have these guys run over here. They're probably not going to make it in time. I'm counting, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 infantry units left, unsupported, all of which have been, recently retreating. Got some ammo into these snipers finally, so they're able to continue to do damage here on his flank. And I can keep moving these troops forward. Keep moving the artillery forward. Ooh. Yeah, I'm just gonna have one of my units come over here, kind of protect this river crossing as if he escapes to the southeast, he tends to then start trying to retreat north over that river crossing, and so if I can have some infantry there discouraging him from doing that, that would be great in case he escapes. But at this point, I'm just trying to contain him here in this little circle. I'm having one of my units actually cross over, and I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward it here, as from this point on, it's just kind of working on eliminating these guys. As you can see, all of his units are flashing. They're not even really firing back. So it's just sort of an exercise in finishing them off now. So really successful. We were really able to pull off all the goals we were trying to do, and we didn't take too much damage on our regular army units, which is really beneficial, and that's going to help us a ton as one of his units retreats there, and then we just have to finish off this last guy. I've gone ahead and turned off my allied units. I just want my actual infantry to get the things. There we go. Our total kills were almost 22,000, and amongst our units we only lost 823, which is just astounding. 26.3 kill to death ratio. Again, that's just counting our units. That's discounting all the ally units we lost. But even if we count our ally units, it's still a really successful battle. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I think the strategy of kind of going south and taking that fort line is really what was successful here. So if we go in, we take a look how we did. Our units did great. Here's all of our units. As you can see, our first 3 divisions, or rather brigades, took some damage, but only about 200 troops, which is pretty good. We didn't lose any artillery, or all of our artillery got some experience. Our sniper unit did great, picked up 1,700 rather. That's going to be a ton of experience for them. Really going to benefit us down the line, as having a good sniper unit is really going to help in the vision game. We did lose, I don't know if we lost any actual officers in this one, so that was great, and we picked up some great weapons. Some of them were just farmers and rebores, which is whatever, but we did pick up some supplies that's going to help us buy some things, and just even some of these weapons are going to be great for selling later. So 4 more 12-pounders, those are nice early weapons. Not great artillery, I usually don't buy them, but I do like to use the ones that I've captured. So just overall really great results. We pick up a victory at not too much of a cost to ourselves. So there's our final battle reward screen right there. I just want to thank everyone for watching this battle, and I think the next battles are going to be some of my favorite ones in the campaign. So stick around for those. Those should be coming out shortly. And thanks so much for watching. Bye.